Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters. I'm your host, Mitch. Glad to have you here. Here at the Commander's Quarters, we're all about Commander on a budget. Today we have an episode of Commander's 2 Cents. On episodes like these, I give you my own personal take on topics about the format in general and current news. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. And while you're at it, subscribe and review our podcast as well. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support. Hey everyone, Mitch here in the Commander's Quarters studio. Glad to have you here. So today's episode is going to be about one-card commander combos. Now, might be a not misleading name, but it's kind of hard to come up with an actual name part that really describes what it is. There are plenty of combos in Commander, of course. Commander is a format that has an absurd amount of cards, so there are plenty of 2 or 3 card combinations out there that go infinite and win you the game automatically. But I'm going to be talking about some different ones today. I'm going to be talking about cards that combo with your commander. So a 1-card combo, technically, because one of the cards you always have access to with your commander. So basically, there's not a moral dilemma here, but there are certain players or playgroups who don't like to play with combos. So if you're planning on playing this commander, it might be something you might want to consider if you don't want to include that card, or if you do, if you think it's fun. So I'm just going to give you some options. I'm going to let you know kind of what commanders out there might just have that one card that works really incredibly well with them and just goes infinite. It might just win you the game on the spot. So let's tackle them one at a time. First up, there's Namaha, Master Wizard, and she's a 3/3 human wizard with flash that costs 2 blue. She has, when she enters the battlefield, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets with the copy. She's also an anthem for your wizards, but that doesn't matter for this combo. Essentially, she combos with a couple of cards that let you flicker her an infinite number of times, and also copy that spell an infinite number of times. There's a couple of different ones that work with her, but I'll go through probably the most effective one, which is Ghostly Flicker. Ghostly Flicker says, exile 2 target artifacts, creatures, and/or lands you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under your control. It's an instant for 2 and a blue. So basically, you cast your Ghostly Flicker, you can target anything that you control. It could be creatures, artifacts, or lands, or whatnot. Anyways, you just have to cast it, but before it resolves, you need to cast Namaha targeting Ghostly Flicker. That's going to create a copy of Ghostly Flicker, which then you can use to flicker Namaha. She comes back into play. You create another copy of Ghostly Flicker, and so on and so forth. So basically, Ghostly Flicker, since you get 2 targets, you can target one of your lands, making you essentially get infinite mana because it's going to come back into play untapped. You're going to tap it for mana, and so on and so forth. You can get infinite ETBs if you've got another creature out there that draws you a card when it comes into play, for example. Then you can draw your entire deck. You got your infinite mana. Again, you get plenty of ways to win from there. It doesn't just win you the game on the spot, but it does give you infinite mana, and it does give you the means to win, essentially. Other cards that work with it, but not as well, potentially, are Displace. Displace essentially does the exact same thing as Ghostly Flicker, but just with creatures. And Illusion Stratagem, again, exact same thing, except this one also draws you a card, so this one could be better than Ghostly Flicker in certain situations. It doesn't give you infinite mana, but it will help you draw essentially your entire deck if you need to, and then it can get you those things that can help out to win the game from there. So, that's the first one. The next one is going to be Siona, Captain of the Pylias. 2/2 human soldier, costing 1 green-white. When she enters the battlefield, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You can reveal an aura from them, among them, and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. But the important part is, whenever an aura you control becomes attached to a creature you control, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So, this is just it's a value-based commander. Basically, every single time you get an aura attached to something, you get a soldier. Now, a way to abuse this is the card Shielded by Faith. Shielded by Faith is an aura that costs 1 white, says enchant creature. Enchanted creature is indestructible, but the important part, whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you may attach Shielded by Faith to that creature. So essentially, you cast your Shielded by Faith, you attach it to Siona. Great. It's going to move here shortly because you're going to get a soldier coming in, and then you can move that Shielded by Faith onto that soldier. Then Siona's going to trigger again, you're going to get another soldier, you move that Shielded by Faith onto that soldier. So you can just basically get infinite soldiers onto the battlefield onto your side. It will eventually win you the game. It won't win you the game right away unless you can get those soldiers haste or whatnot, but it's going to be pretty hard to stop unless your opponents have a board wipe or some way to interact or stop this from happening, because yeah, an infinite army of 1/1s is still infinite damage, so fun times there. Next one's going to be Mikaeus the Unhallowed. Mikaeus the Unhallowed is a 5/5 zombie cleric with Intimidate that costs 3 black, and whenever a human deals damage to you, destroy it. Not relevant. The relevant part here is other non-human creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Undying. So Undying is an extremely powerful mechanic. Basically, let me just read it so I don't get it wrong. But basically, when a creature with Undying dies, if no +1/+1 counters are on it, return to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. So this combos with the card Triskelion. Triskelion is a 1/1 construct that costs 6. It enters the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it, and you can remove a +1/+1 counter from it to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. Basically, Mikaeus in play, you get your Triskelion in play, and it's going to basically have, 3 +1/+1 counters on it to start. You remove one of those, you ping an opponent with that. You remove 2 of them to ping Triskelion itself, because Triskelion gets an extra power from Mikaeus, or extra +1/+1 from Mikaeus, so it's slightly bigger, harder to kill. So basically, you're having Triskelion take itself out while also dealing a damage. It's then going to come back with another +1/+1 counter on it with Undying, or because of the Undying. So then it has 4 +1/+1 counters on it. Again, you're just basically dealing 2 damage out. You deal 2 damage to itself. You keep taking it out, repeating this process. It can deal infinite damage to players, creatures. This one is a basically, if you don't stop this, I'm going to win combo right there. One that is somewhat similar and involves a newer card, newish card from Theros Beyond Death, is Helion Sun-Crowned. Helion Sun-Crowned is a 5/5 god with Indestructible that costs 2 and a white. As long as your devotion to white is less than 5, Helion isn't a creature. Here's the important part. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control, and pay 1 and a white, another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. So this combos with Triskelion, but it also combos with another card, Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista is a 0/0 construct that costs XX. It enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. We can skip the next part. And then remove a +1/+1 counter from it. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So basically the Triskelion kind of effect. You need your Walking Ballista to essentially come to play with 2 counters on it. So you're paying 4 for that. You pay that 1 and a white to give lifelink to your Ballista. You remove a +1/+1 counter from your Ballista to deal damage to something. You gain 1 life. You put a counter back on the Ballista, and so on and so forth. You can just keep gaining life, putting counters back on the Ballista, pinging everything and anything and everything. So basically you get not infinite life because you're going to kill everything eventually, but enough life that doesn't matter. And you're taking out all of your opponents at once again. So the lifelink really doesn't matter in that point. Or the lifelink. The life gain doesn't really matter. It's just you're taking out all of your opponents. Works with Triskelion too. That's Helion the Sun-Crowned. So that's a newer-ish one. One that involves Arixmethes Slumbering Isle. It can actually use a couple, so let's just go through it now. It's a 12/12 Kraken that costs 2 green-blue. Enters the battlefield tapped with 5 slumber counters on it. As long as it has a slumber counter on it, it's still a land. And then whenever you cast a spell, you remove a slumber counter from it, and it can tap for green-blue. So Arixmethes actually starts off as a land, but you need it to be a creature in order for this combo to work. So basically, you cast spells, you remove those counters from it. And then as soon as it's a creature, you can attach to it Freed from the Real. Freed from the Real is an aura that costs 2 and a blue. It says enchanted creature. Pay a blue, tap enchanted creature, but more importantly, pay a blue to untap enchanted creature. So basically, this generates you infinite green mana when it's on Arixmethes, because you're tapping Arixmethes for green-blue. You pay that blue to untap Arixmethes. You tap it for green-blue. You untap it, and so on and so forth. You get infinite green mana. Obviously, that doesn't win you the game on its own, but there are other ways that you can use that mana to win the game from there. Penman's Aura is actually kind of a better version of this from Freed from the Real. It is an aura that costs 1 blue. It has that same pay a blue, untap enchanted creature. It can also give Arixmethes flying for blue, and it can also make it so that it can't be the target of spells or abilities this turn, or Shroud. And then it can also give it +1 or -1 until end of turn, or +1 -1 or -1 +1 until end of turn. So basically, you can turn it into a one-shot Voltron kill with this, and you can protect it, and you can give it flying. So it's basically a better version of Freed from the Real. You get that infinite mana, but it also gives you a way to take out your opponents with just this. Zexar the Exemplary is another one that can combo with either Freed from the Real or Penman's Aura, and that is a new commander from, I believe, C20. It's a 2/3 Death Touch, and it can tap to 2 mana of any one color. It's got other things too, but again, it's the important part with this one is that you actually have infinite mana of all colors, so you probably can find ways to win from there. Another one, this one actually involves 2 commanders, kind of like the last one. Let's start off with Arcana the Omnipotent. It's a 3/4 wizard that costs 3 blue for 6 mana. You can tap it to draw 3 cards, and you can pay 2 blue to return back to your hand, but the important part is tap and draw 3 cards, because this combos with a card that's called Mind Over Matter. This is an enchantment that costs 2 blue, so again 6 mana total. It says choose and discard a card, tap or untap target artifact, creature, or land. So Arcanus can tap to draw you 3. You discard one of those cards, you untap Arcanus. You tap and draw 3. You discard one of those cards, you tap Arcanus. Basically, you just keep doing this over and over again. You can draw as many cards as you need to. You can win the game from there with, say, a Lab Maniac or something along those lines. There are plenty of ways. Essentially, this can just draw you your entire deck. Azami, Lady of Scrolls, can also combo with Mind Over Matter. It's a 0/2 human wizard that costs 2 blue, blue, blue. It says tap and untap wizard you control, draw a card. So this is slightly less effective than Arcanus because you're not drawing 3 cards at once, you're drawing 1. So basically you have to draw and then ditch that card or another card. You're not really gaining any card advantage, but you can go through your entire deck. So again, if you've got that Laboratory Maniac, you can mill yourself right there, right then and there. Same with another one. This one can actually combo with this and other things too. Nib Mizzet the Firemind. Nib Mizzet the Firemind is a 4/4 dragon wizard with flying that costs 2 blue, blue, red, red. It says whenever you draw a card, Nib Mizzet the Firemind deals 1 damage to any target, and you can tap and draw a card. So again, you tap it, you draw a card, you discard that card from Mind Over Matter, or with Mind Over Matter, you untap Nib Mizzet, and you tap it again. Basically, every single time you're drawing a card, you're pinging something too. So if you've got enough cards in your library or ways to shuffle your library, you can just ping everyone down to 0 and win from there. But Nib Mizzet the Firemind also combos with other cards like Curiosity. Curiosity is an aura that costs a blue and says enchant creature. Whatever enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. So basically, you are just you're drawing a card. You just need to deal that 1 damage first. You deal it, you draw a card. You deal, you draw a card. You deal, you draw a card. Again, this does depend on you having enough cards in your library to take everyone out or being able to shuffle your library. But there's other cards that essentially do the exact same thing with Ophidian Eye or Tandem Lookout. So those are other things to consider too. And Nib Mizzet Perun essentially does the exact same combo with these. It doesn't tap to draw a card, but it does say whenever you draw a card, it deals 1 damage to any target. And then all you have to do is have an instant sorcery spell cast in order to draw that card to start instead of tapping. So there's other ones, or there's these, I can't talk, sorry. Nib Mizzet, obviously there's 2 ways to go about that. There's a somewhat similar one that doesn't always go through and work 100%, but it works similar, so give me a break here. It's not infinite, potentially. Depends on your deck, depends on what you have on top. Let's just go through it. Here we go. Borbrigmos Enraged is a 7/6 Cyclops with Trample that costs 4 red, red, green, green. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top 3 cards of your library, put all land cards reveal this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. This is the important part. Discard a land card. Borbrigmos Enraged deals 3 damage to a creature or player. So this combos with something like Keen Sense, which again is like that Curiosity. It says, whenever enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. So it doesn't matter about combat damage, it doesn't care about that. It cares about just dealing damage. So essentially you're dealing that 3 damage, you're drawing a card, you're dealing 3 damage, you're drawing a card. If you keep drawing the lands, then yes, you can keep pinging. You might need something like an Abundance in play to make sure that you're still drawing lands or other ways to get lands back, but you can just keep going and going and going. Again, it's not necessarily an infinite combo, but it can be if you're set up correct. Not infinite, but it can be really well if you set up correctly with it. Okay. Snake Umbra does the exact same thing essentially, but it also gives Borbrigmos +1/+1 and Totem Armor, so this can be effective as well. Again, you don't have access to blue, so you can't use Curiosity, so you're going to be using these instead. This card actually has multiple combinations, actually quite a few commanders that can combo with, but we'll go through the probably most effective one first, and that's going to be Avacyn, Angel of Hope. She's an 8/8 angel that costs 5 white, 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 so 8 mana total. Flying, Vigilance, Indestructible, and other permanents you control have Indestructible. So everything that you've got has Indestructible, really hard to deal with, and the way to kind of really knock everyone out and just take everything out except for your stuff is going to be World Slayer. And this is the card that combos with all those commanders I'm going to be talking about. It's an equipment that costs 5 and it costs 5 to equip. It says whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy all permanents other than World Slayer. So normally this would just be, okay, I'm swinging with my commander and everything goes away, including my stuff too. But Avacyn says, no, you get to keep your stuff and your opponents just lose all their things that aren't indestructible, which most of their stuff's not going to be. So yeah, that's pretty much just game over right there, especially since if they do happen to play a land next turn or whatnot, you can just swing with Avacyn again and blow everything up again, except for your stuff. So that works the best. There are plenty of other commanders that are indestructible that can survive this, like a Tajic Blade of Legion, 2/2 indestructible. It doesn't even matter that it's just a 2/2, or even if that, it can get to a 7/7 if you've got other creatures attacking, but even if it's just a 2/2, you can just keep swinging, hitting for damage, blowing up everything, so it doesn't really matter because you're just going to be able to keep getting through. Again, you do have to deal combat damage to a player for the first time, so you might need some way to get Tajic through, But after that, your opponents aren't going to have enough blockers or any kind of blockers to stop you from doing this over and over again. Zergo Helm Smasher is another one. It's not indestructible all the time, but it's indestructible as long as it's your turn. So that's all that really matters. You get this on it, you get some damage through, and yeah, it's going to blow up everything. I'm not going to go through all the commanders again. There's plenty that are indestructible, like the gods and such, but we'll leave it at that. Here's another commander that is a recent commander from C20 that, again, many people are saying is pretty busted because of just it combos with quite a few things. And that's going to be Calamax the Stormsire. It's a 4/4 elemental dinosaur that costs 1 green, blue, red. It says whenever you cast your first instant spell each turn, if Calamax the Stormsire is tapped to copy that spell, you may choose new targets for the copy. And then whenever you cast an instant spell, put a ++1 counter on Calamax. So this essentially goes infinite with any kind of a reverberate effect. Reverberate is an instant that costs red. It says copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. So basically, you use this to copy another spell. I believe it has to be the second instant. Yeah, the first spell can't be an instant if you're casting it. If the sorcery, great. But if it's something else, someone else is casting, you copy it. Regardless, you're just getting infinite reverberates. You basically cast Reverberate, it copies. You use that copy to copy Reverberate. You get another copy, and so on and so forth. Basically, you're just getting Calamax infinitely large, because every single time you copy something, you get a ++1 counter on it. This doesn't win on its own, but if Calamax has Trample, or if you can fling it, or something along those lines, you're going to be able to kill at least one player, if not more, in the same turn. Another one is going to be Heartless Hit Atsuko. It's a 4/3 Ogre Shaman that costs 3 red. You can tap it to deal damage to each player equal to half that player's life total rounded down. So basically, you tap this and you take everyone down to half their health. It does round down, so there are some, basically, depending on what players' life totals are, this might not work entirely because of the way that things are rounding, but just bear with me, okay? But the card that probably combos best with this is Fiendish Duo. It's a 5/5 with first strike that costs 4 red, and it says if a source would deal damage to an opponent, it deals double that damage to that player instead. So basically, you're tapping Heartless Hit Atsuko. It's dealing half your life total to you, but it deals double of everyone's half life total. It deals everyone's life total essentially to them. Again, there's rounded down, so there are some math things that go on that might not take out everyone, but it takes everyone down to extremely low, if not taking them out entirely. If you want to be a bit riskier, or you just want to take everyone out, including yourself at once, you can obviously use any kind of a damage doubler like Furnace of Wrath. It's an enchantment that costs 1 red, and it says if a source deal damage to a creature or player, deals double the damage to a creature or player instead. So basically, it's the exact same thing as Fiendish Duo, except it doesn't care if it's you or your opponents. It just, everything's dealing double damage, essentially. So that's if you want to take out yourself, too. Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker is one that can combo with quite a few things, even just in mono red. Kiki Jiki is a 2/2 Goblin Shaman with haste. It costs 2 red. You can tap it to create a token that's a copy of target non-legendary creature you control. That token gains haste, sacrificed at the beginning of the next end step. This combos with Zealous Conscripts. Zealous Conscript is a 3/3 human warrior with haste that costs 4 red. When it enters the battlefield, gain control of target permanent until end of turn. Untap that permanent, gains haste until end of turn. So basically, you use Kiki Jiki to make a copy of your Zealous Conscripts. Your Zealous Conscripts comes into play. It says, okay, I'm just going to gain control of Kiki Jiki, which you already have control of it, but you're going to untap Kiki Jiki, and then you can just tap Kiki Jiki again to make another copy of Zealous Conscripts, and so on and so forth. You basically have infinite Zealous Conscripts in play, and you can just swing out and attack from there. They do have haste. Another one that does work as well is Combat Celebrant. Combat Celebrant is a 4/1 human warrior that costs 2 red. If it hasn't been exerted this turn, you may exert it as it attacks. When you do, untap other creatures you control, and after this phase of Additional Combat phase, basically, you make a copy of Combat Celebrant, you swing, you exert it, you get an extra combat step, Kiki Jiki untaps. You then untap and then you keep untapping Kiki Jiki, you keep tapping it, you keep basically making infinite Combat Celebrants. As long as someone doesn't have a blocker, like an indestructible blocker to stop your Combat Celebrant to get through, you can just keep doing this and take everyone out. So, that's one way to do it. The last one I'm going to go over is actually one that has, I believe, seen some CEDH play because it's a pretty powerful combo if you've got the mana for it. And this is going to involve Godo, Bandit Warlord. Godo is a 3/3 human barbarian that costs 5 red, and when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an equipment card and put it onto the battlefield. If you do, shuffle your library. When Godo attacks for the first time each turn, untap it and all samurai you control after this phase, the Additional Combat phase. So basically, this one is very powerful because it can tutor that second piece of the combo. So as long as you've got enough mana and you've got ways to stop your opponents from stopping you from doing it, you basically can just win from there. So basically, the combo piece that you're going to be grabbing with this is Helm of the Host. It's an equipment that costs 4, and it costs 5 to equip. It says at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of a equipped creature, except that token isn't legendary. If equipped creature is legendary, that token gains haste. Essentially, you're getting infinite combat steps, infinite Godos with this. You just need to basically cast Godo, equip Helm of the Host, and then go from there, and then you win. So basically, these are, again, there are varying power levels when it comes to these combos, but they are, one card combos with a commander. So I guess it's 2 cards total, but you have access to one of the cards all the time. Again, it depends on your play style, on your play group, on if you're actually going to do this. But just be aware that there are some incredibly powerful things that you can work with your commander that just kind of just win you the game, or almost win you the game, or give you means to win the game on their own. So again, if you're going to be playing one of these and your play group might not be okay with certain combos, maybe consider asking them, or definitely ask them ahead of time, but maybe consider not using it in your deck. I just thought it'd be fun to kind of bring up ones that, are some pretty cool and sweet combos. So I think that's all I've got for today, though. So thanks again, and have a good one. And make sure you're following us on social media for more updates and sneak peeks on future episodes. Again, a huge thank you to my patrons who help make this show possible. I truly couldn't do any of this without your support. If you want to support this channel directly, consider becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, including being able to vote on future commanders for deck techs. There are even tiers where you get your own personalized deck tech dedicated to you. You can check out all the Patreon tiers and rewards at patreon.com/commandersquarters. If you haven't already, make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Here at the Commander's Quarters, we're all about budget commander. So while you're at it, go ahead and check out some of our other types of episodes. And with that, I'm out of here. Thanks again, and have a good one.